How you getting on? How you getting on? Oh, you've got a My Little Pony balloon. Great.
They're preparing to paint the city with pride, just as they did 50 years ago to the day, when the UK's first ever Pride March took place. A moment in history, mobilised and organised by the Gay Liberation Front, or GLF. Ted Brown remembers he was there.
There's me. I'm wearing my glasses. Oh, there's a picture from the plinth of the crowd. We had no idea how people would respond, but we felt really excited about the prospect of declaring who we were, partly because most of us had spent our lives suppressing our sexuality and submitting to the prejudices of general society, and we were determined to stop that.
Since that very first march, there have been many changes along the way, from equal age of consent to equal marriage. All have transformed the lives of millions of LGBTQ+ people. To find out how this progress had made the community feel, we surveyed over 2,000 people with Gay Times. Across the past 50 years, many rights have been fought for, but the LGBTQ+ community have overwhelmingly told us that they feel pride is still necessary, and just 2% feel that that battle for rights has been won. It's a feeling driven by high-profile cases, like the Met's failure to stop serial killer Stephen Port, who murdered 4 gay men. Accusations of institutional homophobia have resulted in the police saying officers won't march in uniform at tomorrow's London Pride. And you don't have to look very far to know that homophobic hate crime is rising in the UK. 94% of the people we spoke to said they wanted to be better protected from attacks.
The partner had his nose broken, he had his front tooth punched out. I had an edge injury, I had a crack on the head that was bleeding. I had a couple of cracked ribs.
Last October, after leaving a gay club near their home, Dan and Rob were victims of a homophobic attack.
About 5 of them come running over to us, started beating the crap out of us, weren't they? It was terrible. It was, because you hear words like, oh, all I could hear is, let's kill this puff. Yeah, I thought generally they were going to kill us.
I'm just wondering what kind of impact all of this has had on you.
You know, at the beginning I had I used to have a lot of flashbacks because of it, and like it's right on my doorstep. You know, it's a constant reminder every time I leave the front door.
Does it make it hard to leave?
Yeah, it makes it very hard to leave. I feel like I can't really go out on my own.
Yeah, it's devastating. It is absolutely devastating.
They aren't alone. Almost 2 in 5 LGBTQ+ people have experienced a hate crime in the last 12 months because of their sexuality. Only 5% reported it to the police. Dan and Rob did report the attack, but the case was later closed. Would you report something like this again if it happened?
No, not at all. I wouldn't feel confident in calling the police.
We just felt like it wasn't important enough to them.
It's not just physical abuse. The LGBTQ+ community persistently battles old and new prejudices. Reporting of monkeypox has reminded many of how HIV and AIDS was labelled the gay plague during the 80s. The rise in hate crime is a depressing reminder of why we have a long way to go. I wonder whether being an LGBTQ+ kid in 2022 is any easier. Now, when I was at school, I definitely was not out, and I wouldn't have felt comfortable talking about my sexuality to anybody, let alone at school. I think I felt a lot of shame. But we're off to meet a group of students who have their own pride club, and I'm curious to know whether it's changed the way they see themselves now.
So I'm Charlie. I use he, they pronouns, and I am gay.
I'm Finn. I use they, he, she pronouns, and I'm gender fluid.
I'm Ace. I use all pronouns, and I'm bisexual and gender fluid.
But one of the things I hear a lot is older people saying things like, oh, kids today, they're all bisexual, there's so many different sexualities. Does that annoy you?
Oh my God.
Probably, yeah.
If I had a dime for every time they said that.
Really?
Really?
Wait, is that a misconception? Do you think they're wrong?
It's probably because, like, there's a lot of new terms. Change isn't always, you know, accepted.
While our pride group may be feeling more free to explore their identities, young people told us that being out still came with many difficulties. 15% of people who were discriminated against in the last year said it had happened in an education setting. 92% of people told us that LGBTQ+ education in schools was very important to them.
I got asked, oh, can I identify as a toaster or as a dolphin or whatever? And it made me feel like I wasn't a human.
If you look back on how you felt, you know, a year ago and how you feel now in this group, whether in a way it's made you feel more comfortable actually.
It's really hard to know who you can talk to about this stuff. So to have a support group to talk to, it's amazing.
Sarah heads up Trans Pride in Brighton and knows only too well the importance of a safe space for her community. More than 1 in 5 people told us they'd experienced a hate crime in the last year because of their gender identity. Whilst nearly half of hate crime is verbal abuse, 18% is online.
I have personally noticed quite a large step up of abuse online because of being trans. It's like Chinese water torture, a little drip every time. It's these hateful anti-trans things, they eat away at you.
In our survey, 93% of people said support for transgender rights was very important to them. And banning so-called conversion therapy for all LGBTQ+ people was one of the most important issues to the community overall.
When we weren't included in the conversion therapy ban, it felt like an act of state transphobia against us. It felt like a personal attack against us because we just want to exist.
Tonight is the opening of Sarah's Trans Pride Centre in Brighton, a micro-community for trans and non-binary people.
Hello. Hello. Hi. Oh, having a place like this in the climate that we exist in at the moment is so important. It's the one place that we can go that will be accepted, our identity will always be accepted, we'll be welcome, we'll be encouraged.
Yeah. This is the first time seeing the space finished in this forum, actually. It's really nice to see it.
Really, really lovely. Like, political hub home.
Sarah knows what it's like to struggle with family acceptance when it comes to your identity.
I haven't spoken to them in about 10 years. And I make them know that they're welcome in my life. I just hope that they will welcome me back into theirs one day.
While people are still estranged from their families, beaten up on the street or bullied in school for their sexuality or gender identity, for the vast majority of the LGBTQ+ community, pride as an act of protest is as important now as it ever was.